Hello, everybody. Welcome to IST 110. I'm, of course, Professor S, and this is today's lecture. So, anyways, we talked about connecting to the internet, and then I opened up time zone. The time zone assignment is not counting for a grade. The idea is like on Wednesday, what we're going to do is we're going to begin group work. So please, 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 if you want for me to try to put you in somebody that is in the same time zone as you, let me know what time zone you are. That's all I'm using this information for. You can choose not to do it. It's not going to count against you. Again, this is just to help place, because everybody's all over the place with this remote synchronous, and this is to help put people in the same time zone. Again, don't have to do it. But if you want to be put in the same group with somebody that is in the same time zone, that's what I asked. All right, so anyways, connecting to the internet. So the way that we're going to kind of do this is the book, well, we'll talk a little bit more about the internet on Wednesday, some of the history behind it and stuff like that. But I want to kind of illustrate, kind of start with how your home network works. Okay, so how it might work is that you have a computer, maybe a desktop, hardwired into a modem, and you get your internet through your ISP, right? So your ISP could be internet service provider is what that is, provides the internet through something, right? It could be cable, it could be fiber, it could be, I think, satellite, telephone, lots of different ways that you can get the internet. But the modem is the device. Let me give you a closer look at it. The modem is the device that converts that information into something that can go on that pipeline. What I'm willing to bet, though, that a lot of this is kind of like the very base case. What a lot of people have is a router as well, and so the router, which actually oftentimes does other roles than just route, is the guide for the information. Okay, so you have the internet coming from, or the information, the packets coming from the different devices that are connected to the network and going out to the different places online, and then it's coming through. And then it's directing it, packets that are coming from the internet back to the computers, to the proper computers. Now, like I said, sometimes what people have with their routers is they have different things that they do all at once. Like, it's not too uncommon to have all four of these things in it. In fact, oftentimes, like, this is what we'll see for routers these days, where it's a Wi-Fi router, so it includes the access points. So that's like the antenna. It has the standard so that your device can connect to it. The switch, which allows multiple devices to connect to it at once. And then there's also the router, which is the device that makes networks work. Right, and so routers aren't just exclusive to your home. Routers are everywhere. It's like the thing that makes that helps the internet work, where it routes information to different locations, and it will, like, your information online will go through multiple routers to get to where it needs to go. But a router is needed for a network to guide information to where it's going. It's a little computer, but oftentimes there will also be a modem that's attached to it. So, for example, if you're in student housing now, or you've been in student housing, maybe you get it's for Penn State, and you get your internet through Xfinity. They give you a device that plugs into the wall for the cable, and then you can connect to it through Wi-Fi. And so, which case, it would include all of these things all at once. So it's the modem, the router, and the switch and the access point. And if it seems like a lot, it is. If you've ever had to restart your router, it's because it does a lot of stuff. It's a computer that sometimes needs to be restarted. talking about addresses. So the way that packets know where to go is the idea that everything online has an address, specifically an IP address, and this kind of works the same way as a postal address, where you might have the street number, the house, the city, the state, all those things. But it's kind of it's not like the numbers aren't divided that way. It's just a bunch of numbers, and there's it's not just a bunch of numbers, but it may look that way at first. Anyways, the way that I want to kind of focus on is that when we're thinking about IP addresses, that is in a computer's device or a device's location on the internet. Okay. Oftentimes we have static IP addresses and we have dynamic IP addresses. So static IP addresses, like the name implies, are IP addresses that don't change. So think about when you're going to a website, so like Penn State's website, psu.edu, that website's not moving, that's a static IP address. Okay. An example of a dynamic one is if you go to Starbucks and you hook up into their Wi-Fi, you need an IP address so that you can receive information, right? Because you're not just spouting off information. Bad actors aside, I'm just saying if you need information, you say like you have your device and it has packets that come from it saying, hey, I want information. It gets processed by another device and it has to come back. And in order for that to work, you need an IP address in each one of these locations that says where it's coming from and where it's going, so that it knows, like the recipient of the information knows how to respond to it. Similar to mail, it's a good idea to have a return address label as well as where it's supposed to go, so that whoever receives it knows how to send things back. Okay, and so maybe a disconnect for you is that, well, when you're going to a website, you don't type in the IP address, you type in a website, the website name. And that is because it is easier for people to understand words than it is numbers. The numbers we get number blindness from it. And it's kind of easier for us to think about these in words. It's more helpful. And so enter domain names and things like that. And so what they are is we have domain names that are tied to specific IP addresses. And so we use DNS servers. So when you put a URL in name's blanking on me, but when you put it in your browser, it looks up what is the IP address, and then once your computer knows what to do, it sends it to that location. So it's using the DNS server to look up those IP addresses. And there can be a couple more steps in there, but essentially that's what's going on. It talks to an IP address to it talks to a DNS server to find out what an IP address is, so that it can send these, so that this can happen accurately. Now, when we're talking about domain names, so think about psu.edu, so this has got to be lowercase. That is an example of a domain name. They are managed by ICANN, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. It's a nonprofit organization created in 1998 by the U.S. Department of Commerce. And essentially, they're the ones that manage the IP addresses being tied to domain names. Or it's more specifically the domain names and their use of them. So let's what I want to talk is like a little bit more about how the URL kind of works. So let's kind of think about, like, we have psu.edu, right? Because that's school that we're all a part of. And then oftentimes what we have is maybe there's a www. I know that's a weird order to put it in, but what that www is a World Wide Web, but it's a specific computer that you're going to. It's kind of specifying the computers. And so also to be a little bit more specific, sometimes we have if we're thinking about the College of IST, we have ist.psu.edu. So this is a specific server that we're going to for the Penn State. So it's kind of being a little bit more specific. The HTTP at the beginning is specifying the transfer protocol to use. And then also notice that we have sometimes we have these different things over here. And what these are the different folders, followed by maybe there's I don't know, maybe there's .html. Right, and so we have these different folders that are going that are in this computer that you're going to. So it's a directory link, and then this final thing where it's like something.html is the document that you're looking at that in that directory. And the HTML is another protocol that's used to communicate information. And we'll kind of talk a little bit more about HTML later. But anyways, that's the very basics for how the internet works. We're going to get into a little bit more of it on Wednesday, and we will talk more about the history of the internet, and then about groups on Wednesday. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please press the like button. It lets me know I'm doing something right. If you have any questions about any of the content, please send an email through Canvas to both me and the rest of the teaching team, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Do not send it through normal email. You will not get as fast response. If you have any suggestions for how I can make these videos better, please leave in the comments below. Don't forget to roundhouse kick the subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified for when I post the next video. Anyway, I think that's good for now, and I will see you all next class.